I'm Dave Herbert, and today we're going to talk about ETRM helicopters like this Honeybee. ETRM stands for Electronic Tail Rotor Motor, and that's what I dubbed it when I invented this years ago. I'm going to try to explain why this works and how come it's different than a tail driven with a belt rotor, and what the advantages and drawbacks are. A lot of people expect way too much from a helicopter like this. Electric tail rotor motor. Okay, it only spins in one direction, blowing the wind this way. That means that you can really turn sharp to the right when you turn on the power of that tail rotor. But to turn to the left, this motor shuts off. And the only thing that allows the helicopter to turn is the opposite reaction of the main rotor and the body, the torque, which allows it to go like this. And that's very slow. And if you're in an attitude like this and the wind is pushing on it, it won't turn. And you're wondering why it won't turn. Well, it's because the tail rotor motor only goes in one direction. I had no trouble doing this because I designed it and I learned how to hold the throttle over and get it up to speed and be able to jockey the main motor and rotor to use that torque to my advantage to turn. One of the things is, when I built this prototype of the first helicopter, this was almost 30 years ago, with an electric tail rotor motor, ETRM, I went to every manufacturer in America. I sent pictures, videotapes all over the place, and nobody said it would work. In fact, I was probably the only one that could fly it. I had sent pictures to Radio Helicopter Europe, and this is evidently where Alexander van de Rostein from Belgium was able to take that idea, and as the new chip technology was taking place and becoming of age, he was managed to make a mixer so you could actually fly this. And of course that now is on all of these model helicopters with electronic tail rotor motors. But alas, we still have the same problem that I had when I first made this prototype, and that is it only turns one way good. The gain control on the front means how much stability the tail has. But if you get it so that it's so stable, you won't be able to learn to fly. So turn that down. I have this set at 10 o'clock. The proportion switch on the back has to be set. In this case, it's actually parallel with the ground. I have unplugged the throttle, the main motor right here, so I can run the tail. Cover is actually about there. So this is your proportion. That's wide open, 3/4 throttle, half throttle, and down. That's where you need to adjust your proportion switch. All you have to do is mount it on a Lazy Susan so you can turn this, run your throttle up to half throttle, and adjust that screw, that rear proportion screw, until the helicopter basically sits there. Now there's a drawback. The helicopter only turns to the right really good because it only blows that way. And just this very slowly. It only takes a degree at a time. Don't be turning these screws. You want to get this at half throttle. It's slightly rotating to the right. All I have to do is turn the trim switch the other way until it stops. Got my transmitter at exactly half throttle, and the tail is maintaining, and only adjust that by using the proportion screw. Once you got it set there, you're going to have good luck at flying it. Always turn your transmitter on first. Remember that. And remember that your throttle trim switch has to be all the way down, and the throttle has to be all the way down, and this switch on the back, that is your throttle hold, has to be back or off. If it's in any other position, the helicopter won't start. You have to balance the blades. And the way I do it is just simply put a piece of tape on one blade and I spin it up. And if it shakes too much, I put the tape on the other side. And I find a way to get the thing balanced exactly. Okay, if you have too much pitch in these blades, or you replace them and they've got too much pitch, they're not going to spin up. In other words, when you bring the throttle up, if it goes up, everything's great, 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 and all of a sudden it starts slowing down, you have too much pitch. So back off your pitch rod adjustments here, simply 1/2 turn at a time until you can open your throttle up all the way and it doesn't stall. It's just got to be just right. Then the torque on the main body will not be as great and your tail rotor will have more authority. See, it's slowing down. Too much pitch. That's at full throttle. Too much pitch, so I gotta back it off one. To decrease the pitch on the main blades, you have to unscrew each one of the servo arms. There's 3 on a collective pitch CCPM helicopter. Another thing you have to do is track the blade so each blade is flying exactly the same place, altitude-wise, as the other blade. And the way to do that is put a mark on it so you can see which blade is higher or lower and adjust. Another thing to make sure is that your blades are loose enough. If they're too tight, they don't spread out well. So make them kind of loose so that the centrifugal force will throw them out straighter. And I'm going to show you how this throttle hold works too. Okay, we would run it up to half throttle. Now you reach around and you throw this switch to throttle hold. Now the throttle stays the same and only the pitch changes. This is up and down, sucking itself towards the ground, lifting. This is where it's supposed to be. Half throttle is 0 pitch on the blades. That's where it's supposed to be. Gotta remember to shut this off too, because if you crash and you forget to shut it off, it's gonna really tear itself up. Shut your throttle hold off and bring it down. Okay, when everything is perfect, neutral, swash plate flat this way and this way flat. Your flybar paddles absolutely flat, and at low throttle you have a tiny bit of pitch. And now we're all set up. That's the way it should look. Holding a little bit of right throttle as you come up to get that tail rotor spinning first, and then gradually bring your throttle up and center the sticks as you go. And when you're at the right place, it'll come right up. I'm in a very close place here to do this and still try to fly in front of the camera. That's it. Set it down, always gently. Good luck.